Alright, we'll start it. Hey guys, I'm Mario Guitars. I know I haven't made a video in a while, and I do apologize for that. But I'm coming at you guys with a full-length guide in typical Wired fashion. This will probably, as a result of that, be quite long, but I'm trying my absolute best to make this as precise and concise as possible. So hopefully the information and the content in this video will not only be informational and educational, I guess primarily, but also brief and selective. This guide, as I think I said, I have a very short-term memory, but I think I mentioned it was going to be over Oracle. This will be more of an intermediate, or I guess adept, I think is the word that I'm looking for, guide to Oracle. Yeah, adept, very skilled or proficient at something. So I'm not focusing on the absolute, because I've already made a video about this, and I will probably refer to that throughout this guide, just for the record, because there's a lot of like mechanics that involve Oracle and the interactions, especially between his abilities and a lot of the other heroes in the game. It's a very important one to know. I guess all of those interactions are very important to know, but it would be I would sit here for like 5 hours talking to you guys about how every single one of his abilities interacts with a certain like Omni Knight's abilities or Ancient Apparitions abilities or anything like that. Because there's a lot of, I mean, even if they're kind of basic, even if I just sat here and I told you, oh, X purges Y, I would be talking to you guys about every single one of them if I wanted to be accurate in that regard. So I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to simply refer for you guys to the video that I made previously. Or if you don't even want to do that, if you have absolutely zero interest to hear me speak anymore whatsoever after you get done listening to this video, hopefully, you can just check them out in a custom game. I promise you guys the interactions that this hero's abilities have, because he has basic purges. He has a purge on his basic ability, and he has an ability that isn't purgeable, but he has another ability that's kind of purgeable. Anything dealing with purges whatsoever, since there's two variations of purges, there's strong purges and basic dispels. It always gets fuzzy. Dota's pretty murky when it comes to those sorts of waters. So I urge you to approach, obviously, with an open mind. Not an open mind, I guess. An open clock. Hopefully you have a lot of time to test all those interactions out yourself if you want to know them by heart, so you're able to make that split-second decision in game of knowing like, oh, this ability isn't purgeable, so I'm not even going to bother. Hopefully you just, again, like I said, hopefully you have a lot of time to test that out yourself. If you don't want to, like I said, I made a video, I think, covering some interactions and talking about every one of his abilities in detail, in exhaustion, so you can at least have a rough understanding of what the abilities do if you refer to that video. But enough about that, at least for now. I'm going to continue on to Oracle himself. So, get out of face cam here. I want to start off showing you, what do I want to show you? I want to show you my Dota buff. 1 second. Let me go to my profile, just so we can get some raw stats here. Alright. I have a little script that I'm reading off of, so I do apologize for that. If that irks you, that makes you mad. But basically, Oracle is a hero I play quite a bit. I've got 136 games with him at a 53% win rate. I almost exclusively play him in ranked as well, so you should keep in mind that I don't think very many of these games, we can click on it and it does tell us, ranked. I don't really play Oracle in normal games, so you can kind of rest assured, I guess, if you're a little nervous about that win rate and being like, oh, how many of those are normal games and how real is this win rate? Well, rest assured, all of these games are ranked. I don't really play too many games of Oracle in unranked. I usually use this hero to climb MMR with, so you can expect, if my MMR is indicative of anything that's of vague importance to you, you can rest assured that most of those games were played at around the higher 4K to low 5K bracket, depending obviously on the average. But if that's not enough to convince you that I'm a decent Oracle player, if you don't care about my MMR or anything like that, just rest assured that whenever I pick this hero, I feel the most confident that I can, probably across any 5-position support that I can pick, that I will win the game, because he is probably my best hard 5. I don't know how my win rate or my MMR wouldn't convince you, but what I just said would. But hopefully I can maybe convince you a little bit more moving forward that a high 4K player kind of has an idea of what he's talking about. Look off the script because I have no way of like moving this off so you can't see it. I don't have a second monitor. Formatting these guides, yeah, it's pretty difficult. As I mentioned before, I want to keep this mostly, I want to keep it brief and concise, but still informational enough that you can actually learn something and derive something from this guide, as opposed to just sitting here and circle jerking like, oh yeah, I play Oracle too, everything he's saying is right, all the noobs need to watch this. And then noobs watch it and they're like, they don't know what's going on. I actually want this to be informational content, so I'm not trying to self-advertise that much, but like honestly, if you have any questions whatsoever, please either ask them below, because I'll answer questions in the comment section, because I'm not taking up time in the video to talk about the interactions. If you're just like, oh hey Wired, how does Oracle interact with Omni Knight, ask me in the comment section or something like that, or just refer to the video that I made before. I will have a link in the description. It's very important that you, when you're playing this hero and you're like, if you're going to watch this video and try to learn how to play the hero from this video alone, you can't do that. You have to know how this hero's abilities work. If you already know those interactions, then yeah, you can use this video as a stepping stone to playing the hero effectively. But if you don't know these interactions, if you don't know how the hero actually works, and you're trying to simply use this video as a resource to make you the best Oracle player in the entire world, I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's conducive to winning games. I'll say that for sure, right? This is merely a stepping stone, not the end-all be-all. So please keep that in mind moving forward with this guide. Currently at 4900. Formatting this guide, as I said. For the purpose of this guide and with this interest and perspective in mind, we will talk about Oracle, assuming you have a rough understanding of what the hero's abilities do, and that your interest mostly lies in how to go about utilizing him to his full effectiveness. Yes, that's all true. Keep in mind that this guide attempts to promote Oracle from a solo queue perspective. This is important. Guys, I am not a competitive 5 rank player, okay? I'm just not. Like, I enjoy playing 5-stack Dota every once in a while, don't get me wrong. It's fun, play with people on stream, play with people that I want to gain MMR solo or party MMR with. But, I mean, look at my fucking party MMR, dude. All I ever do in party is troll, okay? It's 3800 as a result. I treat it almost as trolly as my TI ranked games. Look at my TI ranked. It's 3800. I don't really take party MMR too seriously. I don't take competitive 5-stacking too seriously unless it's with a team that I feel like maybe I just need to core. I don't know. My heart is in solo queue, and as a result, you need to keep in mind that this guide is formatted towards that. Okay, so as a result of that, I see some oracles like they'll coordinate a lot with their teams. In 5-stack Dota, of course, and they'll build very specific items as a result of that. So they'll have like a Huskar, and they'll be like, oh, I need to buy a Solar Crest. As a player, I make those individual decisions. I make those decisions on an individual basis based on the games that I'm in. So if I realize that I have a Huskar on my team that's owning a lot, then I need to buff just him up, and I'll be like, okay, I need to get a Mock this game, or a Medallion of Courage. But I'm not going to go into the game and trust my Huskar to own enough that I'm going to start the game with a game plan revolving around him. Much the same way that I think most people play. This is kind of a little bit of a moot point, but I just want to keep in mind, guys, that my items on this hero are very situational. Maybe I buy Greaves a lot, Arcanes almost every single game, but sometimes you'll see like I'll play Blink Dagger if I feel like I'm not safe enough and I feel like I'm actually the one dictating the majority of the fights. Like, hey, me staying alive is the most important thing, so I'll get a Blink Dagger. Also, it's just kind of a fun item to have at the end of the game. Usually I build it when I'm winning. Usually by Magic Wand, but like Aghanim, sometimes I'll feel like, again, like I need to carry the game, I need to get an Ags. Or sometimes there's somebody on the enemy team that's playing so well, even if it's somebody that doesn't necessarily warrant a silence, I'll just be like, I need that guy to shut up. I need that guy to quit casting spells, as opposed to buffing my own team. And then when I'm winning games stupidly hard, I'll just build a Sanjin Yasha. But yeah, so keep everything I just said in mind, because again, like, there's multiple ways to play this hero. He is definitely a hero that shines probably the most in a competitive environment of ranked 5s. Like, you got your 5-stack, or you and your 4 buddies from high school that you occasionally go to the weekends and play Dungeons and Dragons with, and then sometimes you guys play Dota 2 or whatever. You can do that, and that's fine, but this guide isn't geared towards that. This guide is geared towards playing him as the, oh shit, now I'm the position 5. Let me alt tab out, type in youtube.com/wireguitars, and see what position 5 guides he has out. Okay, this is Oracle. If you are stuck as the solo queue support, or if you just want to get into supporting solo queue, it's actually a lot of fun. Pick Oracle, in my opinion. He's a blast in more ways than one, and you can probably abuse him to get a lot of MMR. I got a script now, boys. So I'm all coordinated. Oracle's a. Alright, this is going into the description of Oracle specifically, kind of what I just said. He's a dominant hero, played usually in the 5 role. In the current meta of solo queue, I feel like he's very strong because often you'll have a person that will feel like shafting the 5 position player and be like, oh man, I want to play a core role too, but I gotta go to the jungle. And I know I'll get this out of the way now. I know that I've made a lot of jungle guides in the past, but holy shit, 75% of my games have at least one jungler in them for either team. You know, it's either they have a jungler, we have a jungler, or occasionally we both have junglers. And it's like, god damn, I hate this so much because I am stuck playing like the hard 5, hard 6, the hard 10 role of buying every single consumable item in the game and ending with like brown boots and a wand. It's pretty disgusting. But as Oracle, you don't have to worry about that because you get to steal kills. But we'll talk about that in a second. He can be played effectively in this position with because with little more than an arcane boots and a wand, or even brown boots, you can still output really solid damage in the burst variety or even the sustained variety throughout a fight. As a support, that's pretty unheard of. Often you look to supports for your crowd control, but he can also do that because, like I mentioned, like I go on to mention, he also has a solid toolkit that you would expect to see usually from like a defensive support like an Omni or Dazzle. But then he also has his Q, which is a pretty decent disable, as well as a purge. So he's offensive and defensive, combining a lot of the best elements of heroes that you would want from like Dazzle and Omni. And then also heroes that you would want from maybe like a Lion or a Shadow Shaman, all into one neat little package, right? He doesn't necessarily do all of what a Lion does. He doesn't crowd control somebody for 7 seconds or 5 years from what it seems like. And he doesn't do everything that you would want an Omni to do, which is make everybody on your team immune to damage, right? But he does that to one person, and similar to a Lion, he does have a lot of burst damage and a little bit of crowd control to boot. So he has kind of a jack of all trades thing going on there. Everybody that I know that like thinks of Oracle that doesn't actually play Oracle, although again, if you were watching this guide, I encourage that you at least know what you're talking a little bit about the hero. But anybody that I can think of that is on my friends list that's like, oh, you play Oracle, Wired, I bet you love it when you see a Huskar in your games. I'm like, you probably don't play too much Oracle yourself, because don't get me wrong, Oracle has some of the most disgusting and abusive synergies in this entire game, but he doesn't really need them to win games. Okay, Oracle's not reliant on his synergies in the game in the hero pool, of which he has a lot of, by the way. But again, refer to the other video, and I'll talk a little bit about those synergies as well, just to kind of show you how versatile he is. But even then, he doesn't rely on his synergies to be effective. He is effective as a base hero standalone. It's one of the reasons why people used to send him mid back in pub days where they'd get like Dagon and stuff, is just because he has so much stupid stuff that he can do by himself. He doesn't really need other heroes to function. But yeah, okay, so yeah, again, like he has a lot of good synergies, and I will discuss a little bit about that. So any hero with magic resistance innately in their kit that is above the 25% threshold, so I'm hovered over Anti-Mage, but that also includes like Meepo, I guess to a smaller degree you could argue Visage. Common pipe builders is where this really comes into effect, and just I guess anybody like a Rubik or something that can give your team magic resistance through an ability. Those are really good heroes to have with Oracle for reasons that you should know. His E does magic damage to your ally, but it accounts for magic resistance, and then it also heals them on top of it. So you can get really efficient heals on your team without using your W on said target to you just use it. You know, same thing with Huskar. You just use it on them. It does like only 100 damage if a Huskar is really low. You know, it'll do like 50 damage to him, and then it'll suddenly heal him for 400. You didn't even need to disarm him while you're doing that. Same thing with Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage could also, if you wanted to, you could disarm him, you could heal him, he could manta off the disarm. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of little like small interactions. Obviously, that's a coordinated situation. You know, this is solo queue. You can't coordinate that kind of shit with him. But even still, if you just E an Anti-Mage without giving him the magic resistance thing, it'll do like 200, not even 200 damage to him. It'll probably do around 200 if he doesn't have his E maxed. But that's still like half the damage that it would do to a normal other hero, because he has innate magic resistance whereas other heroes do not. And so you get a lot of value out of your heal from not even having to disarm him as well, which means you can use your disarm on enemies, or you can just use your disarm on yourself, you know, and then heal yourself as well. It gives you more options. Other heroes that coordinate really well with Oracle are just heroes with damage reduction in general. I'm mostly looking at like Ursa, but there's other heroes in the game, such as like I guess Centaur with Ags or whatever, that just have percentage damage reduction that does affect your heal. So again, this is most common with Ursa because he'll ulti and then you'll just be like, okay, he obviously wants to right click heroes, but he's taking 80% reduced damage. So I need to spam my E on him because he's only going to take like 100 not even 100 damage, like 70 damage from this, but he's going to heal up 400 over the course of his ulti. When he's basically invincible anyways, you're going to be healing him a lot. Basically all the damage that he'll be receiving then is nullified from your heal, even though your heal also does damage. It's pretty great. But magic resistance and damage reduction isn't the only synergies that we're looking at when we're looking at picking Oracle, and that's I want to stress that as well, because I'm trying to tell you he's an insanely versatile hero that you should consider picking in your games. If you are nervous at all about his impact without synergies or with a lot of counters on the enemy team, I don't really think Oracle has too many hard counters in the game. But if you're nervous about that, feel free to still pick Oracle, or at least feel some confidence in what I'm saying, because it's not just magic resistance that he copes well with, and it's not just like heroes like Ancient Apparition, or it's not even heroes like Ancient Apparition that you might initially think of that are like really good against him. Because you also have heroes that he combos quite well with, like TA. She has Refraction, which is instanced. It's like it's instanced. I'm trying to spell. I'll spell this word out for you. Instanced. You know what this word means? Instanced. It's like there's an instance of damage reduction, or damage block rather, as it is with her, where it's like, hey, I don't feel damage for one tick. Well, that one tick could be your E. You throw an E on her, it consumes one refraction charge, and then over the course of the next like 9 seconds, you're healing 400 health. I think that's worth it, and it's pretty damn good too. Again, you don't need to W her in that instance. You can just E her. You don't even need to worry about her being disarmed, because you didn't W her. She gets to heal 400 health, and especially in the early game, this is quite nice. It's not going to be 400 because you'll be like a level 3, but you can go roam for her lane, and if you don't get a kill, or even if you do get a kill, maybe she has a refraction charge left over, you just E her and then walk away, and it's like, there's 60 mana, I just gave her like 150 health, we both win, you know? It's really good stuff. And then also heroes that don't like to auto attack, this hero combos really well with. Mostly I'm thinking of Timbersaw, but also like heroes like Tinker. These are heroes that just like, they never auto attack, but they're always present in fights. You can give them complete 100% magic resistance, which includes but is not limited to being immune to any source of damage from magic. I can't stress that enough. It's crazy. It's not quite to the level of BKB because it doesn't like block crowd control and it doesn't purge anything off of them, although you do have a purge. But I think of like any hero that you're instantly scared, that you're scared of when you see like Ancient Apparition, for instance, right? People think he counters him. You kind of counter him as well. I often say I'm only scared of Ancient Apparitions as an Oracle if he's able to get his Aghanim Scepter, because then the duration of his ulti becomes quite long and lengthy and hard to deal with. But before that, he can't really stop healing for long enough that your ulti can overpower that. You can ulti somebody after his ulti has taken effect a little bit, and then your ulti will override his, because his will end before yours, and then it starts calculating all the healing that you've done during your ulti, and that's how it overrides. Again, I don't want to talk too much about this because I made a video about this already, but I just wanted to say right then and there that if you're scared already of like, oh, I don't want to learn Oracle, he gets countered by heroes that stop healing. Well, he doesn't really. You know, his ulti has a way of dealing with that. And then also, as I mentioned, some notable synergies is with like Timbersaw and Tinker. I want to stress that. Heroes that don't need to auto-attack in general, so it's not just Timbersaw and Tinker, but heroes that may get in the thick of things, so maybe less so Tinker and more so Timbersaw, but they may want to get into the thick of things, but they're not getting into the thick of things for auto-attacking. You can just give them a half of a BKB, I guess. It's 100% spell resistance. So as a result of his versatility and probably like his perceived ability to get countered, but how little it actually matters for most heroes in the game. I like to pick him first and be bold. You know, be aggressive with your Oracle pick, if that makes sense. And solo queue, don't feel bad about picking him first, because I think that sets a good precedence for your team to tell them, hey guys, I'm trying to win this game. I'm trying to give you guys the morale boost. I'll pick the hard 5. You guys get to be those piece of shit core pickers that you guys all want to do. You can pick your core role, pick a good Oracle synergy. Such synergies include, but are not limited to, you can tell them, yo, go mid Timbersaw, go safe lane Anti-Mage, or Slark. Slark is a really good one as well. You know, go offlane I can't think of axe or something and build a pipe. And let's just win this game. Let's tower this game. Let's win it in 20 minutes. Let's own. That's what Oracle says to your team. And he really kind of throws a big middle finger to the enemy team in a lot of situations as well. Because like I said, he doesn't really have any hard counters that I can think of immediately off the top of my head. At least in solo queue. It really takes a coordinated team to bring down a good Oracle. Because it's not too hard. You have your own innate survivability if you need to W yourself or the enemy. Really solid as well. And if you have to alter yourself, you'd rather not, but if you have to even alter yourself, just so you can still stay alive in team fights, because you are useful without your ulti. You're significantly less useful. If you have to alter yourself, you can still do that. So you can still keep yourself alive as a support, unlike most other supports. If a Dazzle ever has to grave himself, it's a big deal. If an Oracle similarly ever has to ulti himself, it's a big deal. But I'd say Oracle has maybe comparable contribution to a fight after he's ultied himself, at least more comparable to Dazzle than if it was somebody else, some other support that like wasted his ulti and then all of a sudden he's just useless in a fight. Like Dazzle can still impact a fight, he still has a heal, he's still, and when I say ulti, I mean Shallow Grave. Shallow Grave is like Dazzle's ulti. Still has Weave though, he still has Poison Touch if he skilled it. Oracle still has nuke damage, he still has his W, especially on the later ranks when it's on a lower cooldown. You can still impact fights pretty significantly as Oracle. So you have decent survivability, even more if you need to use it, but you prefer to use it on your allies, and just in general, this hero is very solid. So, moving on, I want to just hop into a game, really, and show you guys what's up. So, oops, there's the play button down there. We'll go through the picking phase just very briefly. I don't want to focus too much on it. Mostly I just want to show that I first picked him. Afterwards, you have the expected picks of like, oh man, I'm not saying that these guys pick these heroes to counter me or some shit like that. Not far from it. But soft counters on the enemy team as a result of, as I mentioned, how magic resistance is good to have on your team. Consequently, if the enemy has magic resistance, it's pretty good. I don't think this guy picked Rubik to counter me, but I will say that Rubik, if there's ever a hero that does at least fairly decently against Oracle, it's heroes like this that either give your team magic resistance, like to build pipe, or in Rubik's case, he can steal all of your abilities are very solid to have, and just in general. So I think Rubik is a solid pick against Oracle, one of the few. I still don't think he's like top tier against Oracle though. I mean, you can usually just burst a Rubik down with fairly little trouble as an Oracle anyways, even with his null field or whatever. So it's not like it's a hard counter. I'm just saying that you can pick it first, and you'll see a lot of picks. Like I see a lot of Ancient Apparitions in my game. Probably a lot less Rubik's. I'd say Rubik's probably a better hero against Ancient Apparition, and unless it's going to be a long drawn out game, in which case Ancient Apparition is Ancient Apparition with Axe is a fairly decent hero. And then Sven is also another combo that I forgot to mention that was like really solid. But if you can get a Sven on your team as well, it's really solid. Sven usually builds Helm of the Dominator like first item, which is just he almost starts the game with lifesteal, which is really solid with your ulti. Also, Sven's like biggest bane in team fights before he gets his BKB is crowd control, and you can disable one of the you can undisable, I guess. You can purge one of the disables that gets thrown at him usually, because False Promise is a strong dispel. Stuff like Wraith King stun, stuff like Rubik pickup, even RP, you can dispel them. You can't dispel Axe Call though, but you can dispel most, if not every single one of these. Every single one of these. Even his Reincarnation, I think, still gets dispellable. I'm pretty sure it's still dispellable. It's not going to say, because Dota do. But you can dispel all of these heroes' abilities. And even like Fade Bolt, I'm pretty sure you can dispel. Not too sure about Empower for your Q for enemies, but like the slow unskewer, you can purge a lot of their bullshit. TA slow, for instance, as well, and I think even Meld. You can purge a lot of the crap that they would be throwing at your Sven, and so you can help him out. And he can do what Sven wants to do, which is for 16 seconds or however long his ulti lasts, he can just hit people a little bit better. I'm not gonna say you're the best combo in the game with Sven. Maybe that's reserved for Omni Knight, but I don't know. Like, you're a damn good combo with Sven, and I definitely like to pick Oracle with Sven. So, anyways, this is what you do every single game as Oracle, all right? Because again, you're the hard five. Even if you have some guy picking Shadow Demon on your team, fuck that. Who cares? I'm gonna play the hard five. I'm gonna tell my team that I want to win the game. So every single game, I'll pause right here because this is rather significant. I'd say you start the game, Tango Clarity, 2 wards, 2 sentries, and the courier. That's you have enough money for every single one of those items, and then 20 gold left over. So if you want to wait a little bit in the picking stage for whatever godforsaken reason and make your team lose gold and say, no, I need to preserve my Oracle pick, you can do that. But nonetheless, you should aim to buy these items every single game, and then you should also try to pull your mid 2 tangos. Did I do that? I think in this game I was like, yo, who's mid? Who's mid? Is it Mirana? Is it Mirana? And then the Luna was like, no, I'm mid. And I was like, Luna mid? Okay, all right, well that's interesting, but whatever. So I gave her a tango. I gave her one because we did have a Shadow Demon, so I can expect him to hopefully pull her another tango, and he did. Look at that. And then I shouldn't skill my level 1 ability. Generally speaking, it's like you don't want to skill your level 1 ability, but as Oracle, it's almost always going to be Fortune's End anyways, and it's kind of lazy, it's like I joined the game, I want to alt-tab a little bit, although I haven't done too much alt-tabbing so far, you can tell. Oh, I think I'm alt-tabbing right here. It's like I kind of want to be a little lazy, but I do try hard this game, do not get me wrong. Always nice to hit that score screen button and see that you already have people muted, and that's always great. But anyways, for whatever reason, my team was like, yo, we're going to go aggressive on this because Mirana's in... And I paused the game. You see Mirana over in this position right over here. She's trying to do the arrow thing. My team's like, yo, we got to go aggressive on this. And then at this point right here, I was like, yeah, this is terrible. We should not have gone aggressive. I don't know what we're doing. We should just take the secured bottom rune. So then Shadow Demon dies, and I'm like, I was just thinking right then and there, I was like, I'm so mad that we not only did not get the bottom rune because I think that was, who was that? Was that Axe? I don't know. Somebody took our bottom rune because generally speaking, Radiant gets bottom, Dire gets top, and that's in accordance with your safe lanes. You have more heroes that will be going to the safe lane bottom, so you send Radiant to go get the Dire or the bottom. The Radiant gets the bottom starting bounty rune, and then Dire gets the top. It's not like, and then obviously you can play around that. You can be like, okay, since Dire is almost for sure going to go for their top bounty rune, we can be aggressive. They have an Alchemist, let's go aggressive, let's go take that rune. That's kind of what happened there, is we thought we could be aggressive for whatever godforsaken reason. I think the whole time I was telling my team, I was like, we shouldn't be doing this. Sven's not even here. Like, we haven't committed fully to this. I don't know why we're doing this. Just because Mirana is here. Just because Mirana is on our team doesn't mean that we have to go for both runes, but we did it anyways, and we failed. We didn't get a kill, and they got two runes. So already starting the game out a little bit behind. But am I on my vision? I should be on my vision. Yeah, on my vision, I'm looking at, I'm seeing how my ally is doing. Because Oracle can be an effective roamer, or not really roamer, he's more of a zoner. Kind of like what Bane used to do back in 6.85, I think it was, or 6.86 at the start, before his movement speed got reduced. People would, they'd just pick Bane and they'd walk into the mid lane and they'd just start, solo zoning the person with Nightmare. Oracle can do that too. You have a really good base attack time, so base damage, but pretty damn good range. It's like 620 or some shit like that. Can't check it without unpausing the game. Yeah, 620 base range, and you can just start solo zoning the enemy out, and you can even go for a courier snipe too. So I paused just because I wanted to talk about this real quick here. Notice I'm coming to lane a little late because I did go top, and instantly I'm trying to right-click him out of the creep, out of the range of the creep, so I don't aggro the creeps, and trying to get some damage on. Now this is a mistake right here, and this is a mistake mostly because I didn't really think of this conceptually. If this Magnus had started Skewer, I could have died right here, and the reason for that should be fairly obvious, right? I'm right fucking behind him. Like, he can just Skewer me into the tower and I could die. I didn't think about that until I started channeling my Q. I was like, oh shit, what if he has Skewer? And so I instantly stopped it, and that was... I don't know. I was between two ferns there. I was like, I want to channel this and maybe kill him or whatever because my Sven can walk up and stun, but I also don't want to die to a Skewer. And lo and behold, I couldn't kill it. Oh, I could. I thought for a second, I thought the Sven was like stupid and didn't skill stun, but he did. That was good. So yeah, we probably could have gotten a kill there. I didn't fully commit to something. Once I realized that he didn't instantly Skewer me and that I was alive, I probably should have just fully committed to the channel there. I should have just been like, he hasn't killed me yet. Probably doesn't have Skewer. I should just channel this Q all the way out, but... So, small mistake on my part, but for the most part, what we're doing, not even a small mistake, pretty big mistake if you think about the applications that could have had on my life, but it worked out in the sense that I haven't died yet, and we're going to get a kill here, and this is pretty cool. This is some pretty committed, oh wait, maybe we won't get a kill here, yeah, he's going to solve up. Pretty committed not solo zoning, some pretty committed support zoning that we're enlisting here with our Shadow Demon and Oracle composition here of 2 ranged supports, which is pretty nice. It's pretty nice to just be able to beat this kid up a bunch, and shove him out of the lane and get our Sens some solo levels. But nonetheless, this isn't all I'm here to do. I'm also here to pull, because Oracle, you still want your levels, and you still want to have an impact on the other lanes as well. So I still want to hit level 3, and I still want to see if I can't make a rotation happen mid, or at least have a TP and maybe do a TP gank. Because Oracle has very high burst damage. Just at level 3 alone, you have like 180 plus, 90. You have like 270 damage at level 2. Plus you're really, really ridiculously solid auto attack that you can usually get off like twice or even thrice when you're trying to gank. So I'm looking mid. I don't have a TP, which is just sad news bears. I didn't have too much mana to just TP mid anyways. I I don't know why I pinged my Shadow Demon. I think he's just like AFK there. I don't even know what's going on. But it was at this point where I was like, okay, I need to go get a TP. So I think I buy one. And then I'm looking to upgrade the courier 3 minutes. Always do the item progression that I've done so far, by the way, if you're solo supporting. Or if you're supporting and you're just like, you know, I just want to be the bitch this game and inspire my team to play well. I'm not joking about that. I'm not like trolling, just saying these words to make you guys laugh or anything like that. 'Cause I doubt anybody's laughing at it anyways. You will inspire your team to play better if you just be the bitch. If you just sit down and say, no, you know, I like you, because I see this a lot. Wired, I don't want to solo support noobs in 500 MMR where I'm at. So I'll do your Oracle support thing when I get up to 4K, which is where you're at. No, don't do that. Even at 2K, like, be the bitch. I'm gonna pause there because there's some action going on. Be the bitch no matter what. If you're in 3K MMR and you want to learn how to play support, learn how to be the bitch. If you're at 4K, learn how to be the bitch. If you're at 5K, learn how to be the bitch. Being the bitch is very underrated, and I think support as a whole, as an impactful role to play, especially in solo queue, is it's not explored enough. People don't test around with the amount of outplay potential that you can do with a support like warding smokes or smoke warding and like controlling the map through appropriate rotations. In the early game, everything is revolving around you. The spotlight's on you. The carry is, or the core. Your cores are not going to set up kills for themselves usually unless they're heavily outplaying their lane opponents. So it's up to you to make that happen for yourself with proper pulls, proper roams, proper rotations, appropriate item purchases. You know, last hitting still comes into play when you're pulling, trying to make sure, like, it's pretty hard to last hit a creep when you're trying to pull because you also want to like leverage the creep health as well because you're you know, as the lanes are concerned with the creep equilibrium, you're concerned with making sure that your creeps die but that you also clear the camp as well. So there's a lot of skill and outplay potential with the support role. So don't underestimate it as like a weak role or some shit like that. Here we're making kind of a dumb dive. I was wondering, I was like, man, that stun did a lot of damage, but we just don't have the damage in total. And then at some point I make the mental connection that this Sven isn't leveling his cleave. And it's not like in this particular situation they got the kill. I was happy about this, but I was like, whoa, they're way deep. If this Axe wasn't juggling and he was playing another support, we definitely would have gotten punished for that. So this is one of those, we made an aggressive play. It worked out because they aren't playing normal Dota, clean Dota. I guess, you know, the Axe decided, hey, I want to play a fourth core instead of actually picking another support. So it's too hard for a solo Rubik to rotate. And even if he did, ask yourself, what could a solo Rubik do there? No, we needed two supports definitely, and maybe even the mid laner. But they could have punished us pretty heavily. So don't think that play right there that we made was like exceptional or anything. Here I'm gonna die. I miscalculated. And by miscalculated, I mean I just fucked up. Like, I was way outside of the range of safety that I really had for myself there. I didn't factor in that he could just skewer right up to me and melee range and then hit me and kill me. So that was a mistake on my part, and I look back and I was like, yeah, that was pretty stupid. Like, during the game itself, and especially now looking back, remembering that play makes me kind of facepalm a little bit in my head, because that was genuinely a pretty stupid move. Probably the stupidest move I made all game. I'm not entirely sure. Hopefully we can be a little bit more critical moving on and see any other mistakes that I made. But yeah, so if I hadn't made that mistake, I would be level 3. I would have had a fair amount of mana, and I probably could have made a rotation mid. So I'm just going to do the thing. I'm just going to do that anyways, but without the level 3. This is still solid here. I can hopefully apply some pressure here. It's kind of nice because we're timing this out well. And it's just now when I noticed that the courier wasn't flying still. So I was like, damn, dude, I didn't upgrade the courier at level 3, even though I was trying to queue it up earlier, and I told you guys to always make sure you're upgrading the courier. You should always upgrade the courier. I didn't here because I was like, I started the game with every single support item, and we have a Shadow Demon. Maybe this guy could help me out. But he didn't, and I'm not necessarily mad at him for doing that. I just want to make sure that this guy gets something out of it. If I'm going to be the hard 5, as if this guy is a 4th core, then he may as well just be that 4th core, and he's going to, make that happen by getting a 5-minute 30-second arcanes. So we're gonna go in on this guy. I'm just gonna do basic combo EQ. He's gonna skewer away, totally fine. Shadow Demon's gonna go get us some arcanes, and then once he bought those, I was like, oh shit, this guy's got arcanes already. And I think I go for a pull, and then I'm like, man, I would really like some arcanes right now. And I think he arcanes me. No, I'm actually I'm prioritizing the pull. I hope this guy arcanes me. That would make me restore faith in humanity. Does he? No, he does. He does. I guarantee it. This guy arcanes me. He's trying to get all of us. What a cute player. Or does he? I don't know. Maybe I didn't even recognize that he bought arcanes. Either way, recognizing it now makes me feel like, yeah, I wasn't a bitch for nothing. Like, at least this guy gets a really quick arcanes. Which is helpful in some respects. So we're going to make a rotation here mid. We did the pull, which is really all we needed, and we backed these guys off so they couldn't kill my Luna. I got my clarity pop, but that's totally fine. As long as they don't get a kill there. I don't know why Shadow Demon rotated here. He's like super low on everything. I guess he rotated for an Arcanes. I don't know. I genuinely do not know why this guy rotated, but, you know, he did, so there's that. This is, again, this is the high 4K bracket, so don't expect perfect play coming from my allies here. I rotated there to get them off my Luna. I didn't rotate there to start a kill or anything like that. And there was really no way that I think I could have, by myself at least. It would have required, like, Luna level 6 or something like that, so I don't know. I didn't see a play there outside of just saving my Luna. And that's what I set out to do. There should be a ward mid, and I don't know why I haven't done that yet. Again, like if you check my items here and my gold, proportional to my gold, I have very few items here, and we're just gonna make a play happen here. I think at some point I told my Shadow Demon, I'm like, hey, I can drop the words for you, maybe. Hopefully I say that. Hopefully I'm not lying here, because I definitely want to ward mid as soon as possible. Usually when I play mid, I get mad that I don't get mad. I internalize that I wish my supports were placing wards mid, yeah, that my supports were placing wards mid, because at nighttime it's really scary to be in the middle lane without a ward. This may have been my first sport game of the day as well, which might a little bit explain why there's not a ward mid. Thankfully, Luna does. Lunar Blessing gives her 1800 night vision, so thankfully she at least has that going for her. But it's still really nice to have a ward, especially on like either one of the two sides, to prevent heroes from coming up on your high ground when you need to go to the low ground. Such as when that Rubik and them, what was it? Was that Rubik and Wraith King? Yeah, I think that was Rubik and... No, that wasn't Rubik and Wraith King. That was Rubik and Axe. Especially when Rubik and Axe do something weird like what they did to that Luna. So there should be a ward mid. I don't know why I haven't warded it yet, but either way, just doing some pretty basic stacking and trying to pull. I do have a Sven on my team, so I'm trying to identify that. Here I'm just like pinging the fuck out of my Sven. I'm like, he's going to die here and I'm going to laugh. And then he doesn't die here because of, what's her name? Mirana. But he definitely should have seen that coming. Like, I say that, but to be fair, he was last hitting, and I often fall to similar. I often fall prey to similar ventures as a core myself when I'm farming away. Because, I mean, that's the point of farm, is to take your attention away from that kind of shit. So either way, I'm going to get a ward on this high ground. Thankfully, Roche didn't bash me there because I placed it at the very tippy top of that warding spot. A ward there helps it so that, I mean, there's better places to place it if you're specifically trying to look over the tower, but a ward there places it such that we can see if the TAs, for instance, is trying to sack her Ancients, which I don't think she was this game, but nonetheless, it's something that they typically do. And then also, it sees this area over... This is actually important, so I will pause for this. It sees this area to see if somebody's trying to TP in and kill your core. Oftentimes, I find that support, like this is one of the areas in which you as a support player, if you start, since you're watching this guide, you're hearing me say this, if you start playing support, you can outplay other supports by doing this, and it's simply looking after your cores, okay? And what do I mean by that? I don't mean like literally standing behind your cores and lanes out of sight, although you should do that. That's pretty intelligent. Like if I stood over here, right here, you know, and sat behind my Luna, I could guarantee that she has no threat of getting ganked. I don't think I'm gonna do that because I feel like I have a hunch that the Axe is just jungling away and the Rubik's in the safe lane, so I'd just be kind of wasting my time. But you know, the principle still remains. Protecting your cores by standing behind them is pretty underrated. But what's also underrated, and this is really what I was trying to say, is placing wards in locations that look after towers to see when TPs are coming in. Oftentimes, I feel like people are too centered around like the heroes where they are, as opposed to focusing on where certain heroes could be, which means, but is not limited to, looking at heroes' items and saying, oh, Magnus has a TP, so at any point in time, he could TP top. So I need to let my top laner know, hey, like, Magnus has a TP, if you're going to make a crazy dive, understand that you could get dove right here. And then also trying to cancel a Magnus's TP, or keeping in mind that he does have a TP if you're trying to kill him, or if you're trying to dive on him to prevent his TP from happening up by saving your stuns. You need to be able to predict when people are going to rotate on certain heroes on your team if you want to keep your teammates alive as a support. Not often is, well, not, I guess it could be often that you just show up and you're at the right place at the right time, but most of this is just foresight, and one of the ways you can do that is by placing a ward here, or if you're on dire safe lane, you can place a ward right here to look after, to get some adequate tower vision, we'll call it, and look after your cores in a way that is more foresightative as opposed to just reactive. Reactive wards would be like a ward right over here. A ward right here also suffices. It sees this area if they're trying to TP in over on this side, which I've seen people do to specifically avoid wards like these. But like if you're just placing a lane ward like right here or whatever, that's like, I mean, I don't think anybody does this, but if people place wards like right here as the dire safe lane, this is only reactive. It'll see just about as far as your hero can see. A little bit further since at night because heroes have lower vision range, but even still, it doesn't really, even wards right here, you're not being greedy enough. You need to get the ward right at the tippy edge of the tower, and you can do that by holding alt to see the attack range of the tower and get it like kind of, you know, right over here. It's easily counter wardable, but I promise you on side lanes people don't counter ward it nearly as much as they should. And again, it gives like almost full vision of where and when people can TP in. So if my core, if my Sven is farming like right here, and I have a ward right here, or if I have a ward right here, I can see almost every avenue that they can TP in. Either or, like I said, you don't need to devote 2 wards to seeing this area. You can just have one, especially right here if you can sneak it. Obviously, the offlaner makes that a little bit difficult because of the support. Oracle runs from here all the way out to here, and then just runs back again. It's pretty obvious what he's doing, and they can check your inventory and be like, yo, he warded. So that's why I placed this ward over here over the Roshun pit, because it's very unlikely that they saw me do this, unless they had a ward over here, which, again, it was like a few minutes ago. Nah, I don't know when it was that I placed this ward, but I had a hunch that this was a more cognito ward than a ward over here was at the time that I placed it, I'm pretty sure. Nonetheless, though, the point still remains. I'm just trying to say that you should be looking over your cores, and these sorts of wards really help you do that. That's the real point that I wanted to prove there. Nonetheless, though, or I guess regardless is really what I tried to say. I'm walking mid here, place a ward here for my gal, and I think we're gonna chill here for just a little bit. Go up here. Actually, I'm gonna go leech top. Okay, yeah, this is leeching top, and then I see she got ganked mid, and then I felt stupid because I should have just stayed there. Nonetheless, I mean, like, I can't sit here and just say that was all my fault. Obviously, I was in the area and I was thinking about like staying there, and my choice not to stay there ended up costing us a Luna kill or a Luna life. Like Luna died as a result. But I don't think that's like all my fault. You know what I mean? It's like she could have also used some knowledge to be like, hey, 3, 4, almost, I think everybody except for TA is missing on the map. What if they're trying to kill me right now? You know, she could have not been as far up. But imagine if I was there. This is where that outplay potential comes in. It's like, yeah, your teammate, your core, like, you know, you can watch your mid lane Luna die and feel like, man, what a dumb player as a result of that. Or you could just be the better support and be like, okay, instead of that, I can just sit behind her mid so that when she gets ganked, maybe we can turn the tables. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. I buy the tome, it's 10 minutes. Buy the tome with what little gold I have. I still only have a stick. I got 2 wards, I buy the wards out. Probably overcommitted to wards here. I probably should have asked the Shadow Demon maybe to get a ward or 2 just to help me out a little bit. But, you know, again, trying to inspire the team or whatever. I'm trying to let my team know that I'm here to be the bitch for them so they can get all their juicy items and feel super strong or whatever. So either way, you know, healed my Mirana up there. Probably didn't make the biggest difference for that particular situation of like, oh, she was going to make that dive and she ended up living with 400 HP anyways. But my presence here still isn't going to be for naught because I'm going to place a ward. I'm going to use this to my advantage. Like, hey, I TP top and I tried to help with the gank. As it turns out, all I really was here for was healing my Mirana, but I'm not going to just let that situation go to waste. I don't think I am. Maybe I am. Oh shit. I should have definitely used that time to get a ward behind their tower, I think. Behind their tier 1. Oh yeah, never mind. No, my team was coordinating that they were trying to actually end the tower's life. If they're just going to kill the tower, it's almost useless to have a ward right there. I don't actually know what I'm doing here, though. Yeah, I'm mid the safe way. The safe way just to make sure that if she has traps or if she was going to trap on me and try to dive on me, I was safe. And then I'm just going to leash mid for levels. Okay, this is good. I don't think this is bad, actually. I think because I will be critical, and I'll try to also teach you guys something as well. To be critical of my own play, I think what I would have rather liked to see for me do here was maybe stay top for my team and try to see if we couldn't push a tier 2 and threaten, like, you know, threaten some serious objectives here. I don't know. We have everybody here, and I had full mana, so there's no real, especially with my W, I can probably heal my team up. Or at least try to pressure them so that we can, or pressure the enemy and get some wards in their jungle, because I'm sitting on 2 wards right now. It would have been really nice if I could swing around and get a ward right here, or even block some of their camps with these wards, because they only have 1 support. So the likelihood of this guy being able to buy anything outside of wards and sentries this entire game is pretty slim. And if I can starve their jungle of farm, you know, it's even slimmer. And their, you know, cores are going to be yelling at the supports and like, hey, this camp's blocked, buy it, you bitch, buy the support items and that you need to be buying. And he's like, I'm sole support, and then they'll point fingers at the axe and shit like that. You know, doing simple things like blocking camps like that really causes internal struggles on your team. I think I would have liked to have seen myself do that, but nonetheless, this is still pretty solid play, because as a support, you need to make sure that you're still getting your levels somehow, right? You are the bitch, but you're not like such a bitch that you're not actually trying to play Dota. So we're gonna do that here. And try to get your last hits as well. I missed the last hit. I think I do miss two last hits there. Try to, again, you're not lasting as much, but like I said earlier, it's still a relevant factor. Like, when you get to last hit, it's very important that you get as much as you possibly can out of said last hits. So me not getting what last hits I could have gotten there did delay my arcanes, and every little bit, and even that last hit as well. Like, at this point I was thinking, goddamn dude, like, I've just missed 3 last hits. That's like 150 gold that I'm down for my arcanes. And when you think about that, that's like more than a tenth, or that's about 10% of your arcanes. When you think of support items in the context of like, they're all cheap, but I don't get a whole lot of opportunities to farm. So when I do get to farm, it's so important that I hit these items, or hit these last hits, because the percentage that these items fill up is the percentage that the gold is worth relative towards the item's cost is so great. You know what I mean? So it's so important to hit these last hits. Anyways, we're gonna go in here. I'm gonna place this ward. Notice how I placed the ward during the the confrontation. Doing that makes it almost impossible to know that I warded there, because it's very unlikely that she's going to be clicking on my hero and being like, oh, is he placing a ward? No, she's concerned for her very life there. So she probably doesn't know that I dropped that ward there immediately. Maybe after her death, she'll be like, oh, I just died at Ancients. They probably warded there. But even still, she's probably just pissed off that, like, let's go to her player perspective and see if she pinged a bunch of people after she died there. I bet she did. I'd be pretty pissed if I died there, honestly, at my Ancients. She's doing her Ancients or whatever. Shadow Demon walks up. She's like, oh fuck. Then an Oracle comes in. We pop her shield. I burst her down. He ults. She's dead. I don't think that at this point in time she's sitting here like, oh man, fucking they warded my Ancients. Go de-ward that shit or some shit like that. We do have their Ancients warded in the sense that we have vision over it, but I don't think she's sitting there thinking, damn dude, they have vision over, or they're blocking the camps or anything like that. So a nice time. I'm just kind of trying to illustrate that if you're trying to block a camp, make sure that you're being a little bit clever about it. But in looking over that, we kind of looked over something kind of crucial. So I knew that they had heroes bottom. After killing that TA, I got a little adventurous, but I knew that they had heroes bottom. So I don't necessarily know why I went this path, but it did result in my death. Axe has a DD, and he's walking over. I think I checked his items, and I said he has a blink. But then little do I know, I'm sitting here saying Axe has a blink, yo, be careful. But no, they're just going on me, because they were standing up on the high ground. So that was completely on me. I deserved to die there. I should have had more attention to the map. Either way, though, I will get my boots, and notice I bought 2 TPs. Probably shouldn't buy necessarily 2 TPs. A lot of people say that supports need to have like 50 TPs on them or whatever and just always be able to TP everywhere. That is true. You always need to be able to TP everywhere, but one of the ways that you exemplify that as a support player, and I guess this is more focused. A lot of what I'm saying so far has been focused more on the support role as opposed to just the Oracle role, but that's because they're kind of synonymous. A lot of like the idea behind playing support is being there for your team, and one way that you exemplify this very fact is by only TPing if it's necessary. So if a core role is TPing into a lane, they're doing it likely to go farm, right? It's like a core role just died, he respawns in his fountain, and he's going to go TP out to a lane. The reason he TPs out to a lane is because he's trying to go farm it sooner, right? He's spending 50 gold to TP, but after he TPs, he can get 3 extra last hits that he wouldn't have gotten unless he had TP'd. So it makes sense in that context. But if a support dies for whatever reason, and then respawns and TPs back into a lane that they can't farm, then what's the point of the TP? All you really did was kind of waste 50 gold, kind of. I mean, you get back in a lane quicker, but what does that really even mean? And then you put your TP on cooldown. That's the more important part, is you put your TP on cooldown for 70 seconds, so you can't TP anywhere and have any map presence for 70 extra seconds. Now, I'm saying this, and it's kind of ironic that I'm saying this because I'm TPing top now. I'm TPing top here to defend this tower. I'm going to TP in, and like, this is such a crazy TP if you think about this from the perspective of any other hero TPing in here besides Oracle. But, like, what hero do you know that's a support? They're going to TP right in front of a core like this, right? I TP right in front of him, and I'm like, dude, let's fucking go, man. Let's fucking fight. Because I know that as long as I have my W, I'm invincible to a Wraith King. A Wraith King can do nothing against me. So I TP in, and I'm, again, may seem like a bad TP given the context of what I just said, but I'm like, you know, I'm going to TP in, I'm going to defend this tower, I'm going to leech it as well, which is really great for a support, and I'm going to try to get my Arcane Boots here. So I do think this is a worthwhile TP, even though what I just said is very much a truthful statement that's very, I don't see enough people take that into consideration when they play support. One sec, let me get on Dota Capture, just so the performance can go a little bit better. I'm sorry about that. But, yeah, anyways. So, keep what I said in mind, but then also keep in mind that the reason that I TP'd here was because I kind of wanted to a little bit forego that rule and be like, you know, I do actually want to TP in here to farm, even though I'm support. I do want to get my Arcane Boots as soon as possible. Also, I want to back this guy off my tower and prevent him a little bit from doing tower damage. I guess if you're ever going to TP in, have a reason. If you're playing positions 1, 2, and 3, you pretty much always have a reason to TP in, so there's not a whole lot of guesswork and thinking there. But if you're a support, you have to do a little bit of thinking. It's like, do I really need to TP in here? It's going to throw my TP on cooldown, and that's very important as a support. So yeah. Regardless, I walk mid. I was going mid from top because I knew my team wanted to go on mid. I show up a little late to the party, but at least I'm here to be able to, I don't know, call bragging rights. I wasn't really relevant too much outside of the little bit of burst that I did. I figured that my Sven would get gone on because there was, only 2 people showing there. I was like, they're probably going to try to make a reactive plan or Sven, but I was too late to make the call. He just straight up died there, which is rough. I just got my arcane boots though, and I'm like, man, I want to spend some mana to gain some mana here. But then I ended up not needing to because it didn't even fill me up to full. And then I'm trying to do a little pincer attack here. My Mirana was feeling a little zealous here, but it's all going to work out in the end. I walk over here. Now, hold on. Not hold on. I am holding on to my ulti. I didn't feel the need to instantly jump on the ulti on my Mirana. That's because level 1 Oracle ulti does have a 90-second cooldown. Again, you should probably have an idea of that, but regardless, I feel like telling you. They recently buffed, like several patches ago, they reworked his abilities a little bit, and they made it so his ulti costs less mana, which is really nice. I remember they nerfed the duration that it has, but they made it cost significantly less mana, especially at the earlier ranks, from 200 to 100. But they upped the cooldown pretty significantly. It used to be like pretty short. Now it's, at least at level 1, it's 90 seconds. I do value this ability very much. I value it more than Earth Spirit's ulti, which is kind of weird because Earth Spirit's ulti has a higher cooldown. Earth Spirit's ulti is solid as fuck, and I'm using the comparison just because I play Earth Spirit, by the way. But Oracle's ulti is like, especially at the early game, this ability is crazy in the early game when they don't really have any answers to it at all, It's basically invulnerability that you place on your ally for 7 seconds, and then you guarantee that they live, because it's very difficult for them to, like your base abilities don't scale that well into the game when you take into the account that, like, a Wraith King with no items will do significantly less damage than a Wraith King with a bunch of items. But Oracle's abilities don't require items to heal, or Oracle's skills don't require items to heal. So your rate of healing is relatively constant unless you have an axe, but a Wraith King's rate of damage increases significantly. Oracle does like amazing work when he has his ulti, and he's very much impactful. So I do hold on to this ability every chance I get, unless it's going to guaranteed get me a kill because I purge my ally and make sure that they can get purged and go kill somebody. Or unless it's going to save an ally guaranteed. Otherwise, I try not to use the ability because it's an ability you have to use cautiously. It's a large, like, your burst damage combos are strong, as you probably have an idea of. As I mentioned earlier, this ability does insane amounts of damage for just 1 point, or for one ability, right? It almost does 400 damage. Earth Spirit's 2-hit combo, like his kick roll, or his kick pull does 400 damage. This ability does almost the same amount of damage that Earth Spirit's 2 abilities do in 1 ability. Granted, Earth Spirit has crowd control with that, and looking at this from the perspective of some other heroes, 360 burst damage isn't crazy amounts, but it's pretty damn good. You have to consider, though, that there's the heal packed into it, so oftentimes you'll do damage and they'll just heal like a few ticks afterwards before you purge it off, but it's still a damn good damaging ability. Either way, like, I'm going to demonstrate that here. We're just going to go in on this guy. You can combo it in such a way that you send your Q out and then E them immediately afterwards. So you throw the Q and then E them, and then the Q latches onto them. So the order in which you're using these 2 abilities almost doesn't matter, as long as you're making sure you're spamming the 2 abilities. You're pushing Q and E. That's what I'm doing on my keyboard right now. Walking up to your target, just spam Q and E. It's not that hard. Oracle's mostly about decision making, not about mechanics. It's so high. It looks so high skill, but all you're doing is just pushing Q and E at the same time, and they'll usually connect and cancel each other out. Either you'll E first and Q afterwards, which will definitely, unless they disjoin it, definitely purge the heal. Or you'll Q, but then you'll E so quickly afterwards because you'll cancel the backswing on your Q that it'll still purge off the Q, or purge off your E, because your E is instant. It's not instant cast, but it's got a 0.3 cast animation, but it's instant. It doesn't have a projectile. You just put it on them. So your Q is in flight, and then your E's instantly. So you'll throw your Q out, and then you'll cast your E, and then your Q will land. So it doesn't really matter too much which order you use it, unless if they're melee range, then that's a different story. You have to E and then Q them afterwards, but that's like the only real situation. There's a certain range threshold, but it's basically melee. So anyways, get Arcanes. I'm going Pipe this game. I decided to go Pipe because I saw Radiance was what Wraith King was trying to buy. And also, I don't necessarily think Pipe is ever like a terrible item now. Don't get me wrong, there's some games where it's better than other games, and I would say that there are at least some games where it's like, Pipe's not the best item, But I just mean to say that it's never really a bad item. I think every single team comp in the history of like a decent team composition in Dota 2 probably has some form of magic damage. And generally speaking, like being able to block that is really significant. Don't get me wrong though. Again, this is like not to say that pipe is the best item in the game or anything like that. I just mean that it's such a cost-efficient item that you can get for 3,100 gold for thinking about the amount of damage that you could potentially block if the shield even blocks like 2 heroes. You know, you don't need to hit those 5-man pipes and negate like 400 damage each pop. You know, just saving 800 health off split across two teammates is really significant. And again, like Wraith King's going to get Radiance. They have like Fade Bolt, for instance, is a decent nuke. You know, Magnus has that Shockwave or whatever his Q. It's a decent nuke. I think Pipe has some significance here. Also, I noticed that my Shadow Demon was going to get mech, so I was just like, mech Pipe, let's go, man. Let's have crazy tempo. Either way, though, we're taking this engagement. I ulted the Sven, but there was literally no saving that Sven. And this is actually, we're going to talk about this a little bit because it is rather relevant. I guess knowing your limits kind of is the staple of the conversation that I want to have here. My Sven's going in, and I'm like, all right, I definitely want to throw my ulti on this Sven so he can right-click heroes. So he gets stunned, and I ulti him to purge the stun. But then, all right, so I load my burst damage combo on this guy that's standing right here, and I think this is kind of, you could debate about how this might be a misplay. We got the kill, but you could say, oh, Wired, you should be healing your Sven right here. Well, we can talk about that. So Sven's a fair range away from me, right? Fate's Edict has a rather short cast range. And I'll talk about the skill build. I did screw up my skill build. Fate's Edict does get better with putting points into it. And I do think 2 points in Fate's Edict is superior to 4 points in Fortune's End. I just wasn't thinking about it this game, but usually I mean to put 2 points into this so the range increases, and so that most importantly, 3.5 second duration lets you put 2 Qs on a target. Or 2 E's on a target during the W, so you get to heal them twice in the duration of 1 W. So it's like super mana efficient. You put one level 2 W on a target, and then if you're quick enough, you can E them and then E them again before it runs out. So there's a lot of reasons to put only 2 points in this ability, and so I should have 2 points in my ability in this ability. Don't get me wrong, but especially with only 1 point, there was no way I was going to make it over to that Sven and get the opportunity to put Fate's Edict on him when he was so far deep in the middle of the fight. So I was like, I'm going to ulti him. Let him do as much damage as he can, especially once I saw that Rubik stole, what's it called? Eclipse. Once I saw Rubik stole Eclipse and just used it and unloaded that on the Sven, I was like, there's no saving this guy. I'm not going to worry about casting my spells on him. He's going to die after my ulti no matter what. And that's what I'm really trying to say, knowing your limits as Oracle. False Promise, it seems like kind of a, oh man, I don't know what's going to happen ability. But as the Oracle player, you should be the one that's able to judge the amount of damage that's coming in and the amount of healing that you can output. Always remember that you heal for twice the amount of healing that you otherwise normally would during False Promise. So keep that in mind. You can make some crazy plays happen with healing and shit like that. And you might often misjudge the amount of healing that you can output. So I'm just trying to say that knowing your battles doesn't mean ult somebody and forget about them. It just means if somebody's taken like 5 Divine Rapiers worth of damage just constantly since you started your ulti, then it's a pretty good chance that they're going to die. You know what I mean? And again, it's decision making. It's knowing how to be able to make that decision and saying, okay, well, you're probably gonna die, so there's no point in healing you. I should just use my abilities on somebody else or use my abilities for burst damage. It's knowing the difference between that really comes into play that separates the good oracles from the great. But either way, so we lost that fight pretty handedly. That was the Radiance reveal on the Wraith King. It was unfortunate. At least we got a return kill on the Magnus, but it definitely wasn't worth. At the very least, we can say that we know that the Wraith King has Radiance now. It's a rather quick Radiance too. I was pretty scared at this point. I was like, fuck, that was a really bad fight. They showed Radiance, but they won the fight, you know, and they get to take a tower and objective out of this. So I was like, I definitely need to get this pipe up sooner rather than later, because eventually Radiance Burn doesn't really eventually Radiance becomes more of like a mischance item than it does a damage-based item, but early game it's definitely significant for its damage, and I was like, you know, Shadow Demon, I think you can start buying some wards now. That'd be great, because I want to get this pipe up. You already have your mech. I think this around now is when I told him that, after I bought those last round of wards, because he does have his mech. And it's still good that he has his mech. His mech is essentially what I want right now. I just want damage negation. I want our team fight to be bolstered this game. I want us to have that mech. I want us to have that pipe. I want us to go in and be like, damn, we're invincible. We can just kill everybody and take on the entire world. and that fight was a good example of why I wanted that. So I'm moving forward. I'm thinking like I've got 3 wards. I want to place these bad boys, and I want to place them as soon as possible. I have some smokes in my inventory as well, so warding smokes or smoke warding is not out of the picture. I'm trying to leech mid a little bit, get my level 11, get a little bit of last hits there, switch over to these wards. I still think a ward here is completely viable and completely okay. Even though they lost their tower, we still haven't lost our tower, so eventually they're going to push into it. And that ward there helps us see avenues in which they can come to gank. It also helps us see over the river a little bit. I come down over here. I think I want to get a ward. Now, alright, this is a bad ward. I don't know why I placed this ward, but I just want to make this abundantly clear. This is a bad ward. You should not place this ward. It's not safe from any other sentries in any way. It doesn't see on the high ground. You should try to get wards on high grounds if you can. There's really no reason to not have this ward. I can't go to free camera because it's going to bug. There's no reason to not have this ward over here. It sees a little bit over here. I think in the moment I was like, I want to see over here a little bit more. I want to see on the top of that cliff. But I don't really think this is a good ward. Again, the only reason I can think of to put a ward in some unorthodox position over in this general location is to put a ward like over here to try to dodge the sentries over here, and I didn't do that, so I don't think this ward is good. I think a ward, if I wanted to dodge a sentry and still see on the high ground cliff over there, I should have put it over here. As it stands, I'm not seeing enough. I'm just not getting enough value out of this ward. I don't think this ward's good, so just know that. I warded there and I was like, this is stupid. Why did I ward there? And then yeah, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is when I was telling the stream it was a bad word. But anyways, I see this guy going on in mid, puts the shadow, the purge or whatever the fuck on him, the shadow purge, the bullcrap, demonic purge or whatever. And I'm like, okay, we're going ham. Then Rubik steals it and then they get away and I'm like, fuck, man, that's bad. Either way though, heal my buddies. Always heal your buddies. There's really no reason not to if you have at least sufficient mana. And a fight's not happening. I see Sven, and this, alright. This is a great example of why I think Oracle's a decent support. You're about to see a great example of why I think Oracle's a decent support. That was death count number 1 of Sven just solo dying top lane to Wraith King. We're going to keep a little counter in mind. I think... I'm not even going to spoil it. I have an idea of how many times this guy dies solo to a Wraith King, specifically top, in a row, in about a 10-minute span, and it's pretty absurd, I would think. 1 is enough, right? After you've died once to that guy, you should be like, okay, I can't fight him. No reason to just go up there and YOLO Dolo him, right? Luna's doing it right now, but he's not Sven. He's testing his own waters, and he might be able to pull something out of his ass, right? Hey, you got the ulti, that's great, now get the fuck out. And so Mirana ultis, and then he's getting the fuck out. It's pretty lucky. Pop a Wraith King, I think that's a level 2 Wraith King ulti, or maybe that's a level 3. No, it's a level 3 Wraith King. So it's basically just wasted your time, because there's no way we're fighting in the next 60 seconds, especially not with like a Mirana ulti. So, don't know why they felt so hellbent on killing that Wraith King, but he did it. Now my Sven TP's top again. The whole while, by the way, I am trying to still focus on myself. I just trying to illustrate the idea of like, you know, the caliber of players and all that great. Don't think that if you're a 2K player that these players that I'm playing with are like instantly that much better than you, because fuck, man, watch this Sven again. Sven just walks top, I see him, I'm like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? And he starts fighting him, and I'm like, you couldn't beat him before, what's your game plan here? And sure enough, he gets stunned again, and he just dies. And I'm like, alright, that's your second death in the last, like, 2 minutes. All the while, like I said, I'm a little tilted at that. I placed a few wards. I think right here I'm typing to him. I'm like, yo, dude, you just died literally twice in the exact same situation, in the exact same frame of time. It was about 2 minutes ago that you died. You've probably spent more time dead than you have alive in the last few minutes. I'm not trying to harp too much on it, even though I am. I'm just trying to kind of represent that the caliber of play here is just top, oh so top quality. Either way, I'm hiding here because I don't see anybody on the map really. I don't think I see that Rubik and Magnus. I think that might be a bug. And I did see that Axe grab that haste, but nonetheless, not seeing as many. Like, what if a Wraith King just walks out, especially with a Blink Dagger, and he stuns me? I'm definitely dead. So I was hiding a little bit, but then I started showing myself a little bit more as I saw more people on the map. And then I eventually decided, okay, damn, they're team fighting. We still have that tier 1 mid, so I can make a TP play whenever I need to. But then I realized that it wasn't a fight. It was just a pick, which is unfortunate. Luna smartly TPs out, and then I get to just sit here and still leech. And I guess the core thing that we're trying to focus on right now is the idea that, like, again, you are trying to be a bitch hard 5. I'm trying to buy every single ward, every smoke, every consumable my team needs me to. I'll buy and give the courier wings. I don't care. I'll boost the team's morale, but nonetheless, I'm not going to let that hold me back from getting farm. in some way, shape, or form. And I guess Oracle, more than most other supports in the game, holds that mantra because, as you know, if you know anything about Oracle, he's like the KSing master, okay? His skills define KSing. You really shouldn't be using this ability, E, your Purifying Flames, unless you either A, have Fortune's End, or B, the target is low on health, so you can finish him off so they can't heal from it. So you are all about KSing, and you kind of want to apologize about it, but let's be real. Nobody's mad that they are support and they're getting kills because it helps fund your warding projects and your smoke purchases and your courier wing upgrades. It's very good to play this hero in solo queue for that reason. I will say that. It's nice to be able to play support and actually be able to get some items. Like, I'm 137 right now, but my contribution to fights and my ability to at least not die as hard as other supports, and then also my ability to just go to a lane and farm it really efficiently with a pretty damn good base attack, and your E, which is so good for sniping last hits. It always kills the range creep. It's got a very low cast time. You can even use it to kill catapults because the damage is that high. Like, it's really nice to... I feel very in my element when I'm farming with Oracle compared to other supports that have like shitty base attack times or just low base damage in general, or like no damage boosting steroid or no instant burst damage. It's nice to last hit with Oracle. He even has an AoE ability to clear 2 creeps that are kind of low. It's really nice. But either way, I'm just going to do some jungle farming here. And look, Oracle can do this. Some other supports can't. You can just walk into the jungle and start kiting camps, you know? Or Spirit does this a lot worse than Oracle, I'll say that. He has to use stones, and he's got to get all up in the grill because he's melee and shit. It's just a bad sign. Either way, they're pushing this without creeps, so I'm thinking, okay, we can defend the shit out of this. We got Glyph. Come over here. I try to unload my burst, but then Shadow Demon disrupts him, which is bad, by the way. You don't want to disrupt somebody who has Radiance, but I guess we just don't care. Oh, wait, never mind. Who am I kidding? You do, because it gives us... It was a brain fart. Either way, I walk over to my Sven, and then I get Mirana arrowed, and can I just say this? I can't escape Mirana. In, like, all of my games, I either get a Mirana on the enemy team and have to play against that shit, because I don't play Mirana, so the chances of seeing her on my enemy team is much higher, because I am one person that does not play Mirana, so that's 4 people that could potentially pick Mirana versus 5. But then also, sometimes I just see Rubik players that'll steal Mirana abilities and make me hate the hero even more, because it's like, the only thing that could have stunned me there is a Mirana arrow, but... we have Mirana on our team, but of course, Rubik is sitting there with an arrow and he stuns me, and I couldn't save my Sven because I couldn't ulti him. Then he hits a pretty sick 2-man RP there, but we turn it around with a pretty sick Eclipse. And mostly, like, I didn't even ulti here. I think I might even die. Yeah, I'm gonna die. Mostly what I contributed there was burst damage. If you look a little closer, even though it looks like I did nothing, I actually did quite a bit in this fight, barring the fact that I got stunned here. It really sucked that I couldn't save my Sven, but, I mean, fuck, he was probably dead anyways, let's be real. Like, I was just going off in a no man's land. But watch this. Like, Mirana does a great job here, don't get me wrong. Very, very good job. But all I really did and needed to do was walk over here. Unfortunately, I do get 2-man RP'd, but I think I sneak a spell out before I get Axe Called. I'm sure I do. Yeah, I W her. Debatably bad. She still has Refraction on her. She couldn't take the magic. Actually, I take it back. I thought I unloaded some burst damage, so I didn't really do too much that fight. But I promise I do fight. I do things later on. Fuck. I thought I had some sort of representation there. That was a poor representation. I think just in general I actually lost that fight. I was feeling like Mirana was putting in work, and I was like, damn, dude. Like, I also don't forget I was there and I bursted people down. But that just goes to show that it's not like every fight goes hunky dory. I will promise that I will make some sick ass plays in the not sick ass. I mean, they're just gonna be basic ass Oracle plays. You'll look at them and you'll be like, oh, he pushed the E button and he pushed the Q button. What's so special about that? But that's the thing. Like, Oracle can do that kind of stuff. So either way. I respawn because I'm a low-level support. Respawn timers are so short. Come in here, try to save this guy. I ulti him, he gets away. I EQ, he gets purged of whatever slow was. It was the TA's slow was beseeching him. Then I come over here. I'm like, yo, I gotta heal you up, man. You're not actually invincible. And he gets engaged on by a TA in one shot, so that's rip. But hey, we kept him alive for as long as he did. In fact, after this, we'll check out to see what kind of contribution the SD provided. I think he threw a few E's out, which is kind of good. Either way, we re-engaged and it didn't work out, and I think I might die here. I'm not entirely sure. Oh wait, never mind. We're on ulti. So good. So good. So we're going to back up, and we're just going to see the impact that an Oracle ulti had this fight. This is like a less than average Oracle ulti too, because I ultied somebody that's not a right-clicking core. So it's not like you can typically expect to have insane results when you do situations like this. So it's a little bugged. I didn't ulti him yet. They're going in, and then he starts getting engaged on by a TA. Excuse me? Huh. But then Oracle to save the day, walk over, ulti him, he gets purged with the slow. Then, look, he's able to throw more E's out, he's able to do more damage, and I think overall, I don't actually think we get that Wraithkin kill. Do we? I thought we killed somebody before we all died. No? Does everybody just know the Rubik died? Okay, so we killed the Rubik. Yeah, we do kill the Wraith King here. I'm damn sure with it. So, yeah. The SD helped us finish up that Wraith King and did a little bit of work. Also, he mandated the TA's attention as well. Because the TA lived, or because the Rubik lived to die another day in that situation, the TA felt the need to jump on the Rubik, or the Shadow... I said Rubik all that time. Because the Shadow Demon lived in that situation longer than he normally would have, the TA felt the need to go back onto him to kill him and finish the job, as opposed to jumping on somebody like Mirana before she was able to kill the Wraith King, which also helped us stem and then kill the TA, because if the Wraith King wasn't dying, maybe he could back up the TA. It's all kind of a chain effect. And it's not like I'm doing something that you couldn't also do on another support like Dazzle or Omni Knight, right? What I did there was the equivalent of like a grave a little bit. I mean, Axe wasn't in the fight, so especially, yeah, it's basically just a grave there. Because Axe could chop through a grave, but he wasn't even in the fight. So imagine that was just basically a grave, right? It's not like I did little more than just a grave in that fight when you're talking about strictly defensive purposes. Like, what did I do that fight? I was defensive. But I was also offensive because I had burst damage that contributed to us being able to kill that Wraith King. So... I did two things there that you wouldn't be able to find on most other supports, of being able to be incredibly defensive, but then also offensive too. Either way, I go top, farm it a little bit, get some wards down. I really like the ward that I just placed. We can talk about that and wards like it as well. I'm like long overdue for a warding guide, but I'll never do it. The ward that I placed here, this was like... So, wards like these, just if I can go on a quick diatribe, words like this, words like kind of there, but like here... kind of here a little bit, but like here, you know, in obvious spots in the mid lane, over here, up here, here. This is also a pretty good one. And if you're on Radiant, like this is a good word. These are like really good words, especially this word though. This is the king word right next to this word. They get so much vision of their jungle, but they're deceptive because of how common they are. They're so good, but they're so common that they end up becoming so bad because of like the meta of wording. It's like I know that's a good word. They know that's a good word. So they know that I know that I'm going to be trying to place a word there. And as a result, it's a very commonly de-worded spot. Word spots that are similarly strong to this, not as strong of course, but similarly strong, but more importantly, dodge the sentry or the D-word, are words that see the vision that I'm concerned with. So this is great. It sees a lot of vision. And I'm not going to say it sees too much vision, because there's no such thing as too much vision. But... it sees more than maybe what I would necessarily need to be able to see given a certain game state, you know? Again, don't get me wrong, it's not like I don't want to see this area, but it's like, you know, this area is a little bit of a luxury, especially if they're missing their tier 2 tower. Like, as you start to push the enemy team more and more into their base, they feel a little bit more pressured to stay in their zone as opposed to trying to walk out and feel aggressive and be like, oh yeah, I can go farm that easy camp because I have a tier 1 tower over here. Especially if you take their tier 2 down. Farming this location becomes a literal hike to make from all the way over to their base to here. So warding in this location, like I said, whilst it always is pretty damn obvious, it can be a nice word, and I don't necessarily think I'm terrible for wording here. I don't know if it gets de-worded. I think I even said to my stream in this moment where I was like, I'm just going to word in an obvious location because they only have one support, and he's very much starved for items. And you can get, this is another way that junglers ruin the game and make it hard for you to play Dota. Normal Dota, and how they impact the game is if you only have one person buying all the consumables and that person's team ever falls behind, then that guy is instantly shafted and just poor throughout the entirety of the game because he can never get the assist gold that he needs, and he can never farm lanes, and he can never get enough money for the consumables that he needs to have an impact as well as the items that he needs. So he has to pick a choice, and in this case he's going for a blink dagger as opposed to more sentries. So the likelihood that this ward will stay up for enough time for it to see some sort of value is very high because they only have one support. So that's why I placed this. I think in the moment, if I can think back to 5 days ago, that's why I placed this ward. Maybe I just placed it because I thought it was a good ward, and then it just in retrospect ended up being good because they only have one support. But this, I just want to state, this is a very common ward. So if you ward exactly here, don't expect this to stay too long unless you're in like 2 or 3K, where people don't really de-ward too much, if I recall. It's hard to remember it because it's been a while, but nonetheless, don't look at this ward and see like Jesus ward, okay? Look at words that are more centered around the vision that you need to see at the time as like Jesus wards. So a ward that I placed like right here, this is a pretty damn good ward, especially right now when their tier 1 tower's gone. It's going to be scared for them, or scary for them, to go up to this lane if the lane is, say, over here and it's pushing towards our tower. So they can't really farm up there. And even farming over here gets a little dangerous, because what if we smoke and we go into their jungle? That'd be the perfect time. They want to farm over here. These 3 camps are becoming more and more appealing for their team. And I would expect these 3 camps to be dead every single minute from around the 35 point minute mark onwards for the Dire if they're losing a game. So these wards hold intrinsically more value as the game progresses and they start to lose more of their towers. So just always keep those sorts of things in mind. You know, a ward right here is really good to see Roshan, but like right here gains a lot of value as they lose their towers and they have to walk over here more and more often to check on Roshan themselves or to go to their ancients themselves. You know, they can't just TP from their tier 1, and even if they do, this ward's pretty good. You know, it's not necessarily the ward spots themselves that are great, more so than like keeping in mind the game state, and especially the heroes. Well, especially the game state, but then also the heroes that they have and what specific kind of composition they're going for. If they're going for this 4th core greedy bullshit lineup, like with an Axe that doesn't want to play support, then take advantage of that. Say, you know, hey, this Axe is literally sticking a dick right up the Rubik's ass. I'm going to take advantage of that and stick one as well, so we can 2-time this Rubik, you know? He's going to have such a hard time dewarding my shit, because Axe is being such a nice guy and being the 4th core that we're just going to ward right in front of his face. We're going to see everything. They can't deward us. They've got a solo support Rubik. Like, what are they going to do? Sorry for the vulgar analogy, but that's just a quick little diatribe I want to talk about, just because I think it's solemnly underrated. Solemnly? I don't know. It's pretty underrated, identifying that they have less supports on their team, so you should just ward aggressively and just take full advantage of that. Take control of the game. Say, hey, you guys don't want control of the game. You guys just want to farm for 50 minutes until you guys eventually outcarry us. We're not going to let you do that. We're just going to take control of the game, and we're going to win the game. So anyways, I think I slowed the game down a little bit too much. Yeah, I did. Finished my pipe. I TP'd back to base there just because things were getting a little dicey, and because I didn't want to use the courier too much, but I still wanted to get my pipe. Since my courier was out in the fountain, or out and about, I was like, I'm just gonna TP back for this. I have half mana anyway, so I get a chance to buy the tome, use it on myself, and get my smokes, and just complete my pipe. It just seemed like an efficient time to TP back to base. That's why I did it. And lo and behold, my Sven dies yet again, for the 3rd time in a row, in the same place, in about a 10-minute span of time, to the same person solo. It kind of, at that point, I was definitely mad. I think I said something on mic. I was like, dude, you can't keep dying to this guy solo. Like, at some point, you have to realize that he's just going to be able to kill you every single time. And I think he does make that realization, but I'll be damned if we won this game because of this Fen. I'll tell you that much. Either way, we get a solid pick on the TA bot. They take our tier 2 towers, so I think I was saying something along the lines to myself that I need to take advantage of this time to get some wards up. You could argue that there's some redundant vision going on, but, okay, we'll back up a little bit. You could argue that some of the vision that I placed here was redundant. I placed a ward over here because I felt like you always, at some point in the game, I can't put a finger to it, but there hits a point in the game where you just always need vision over Roshan if it's not taken at some point. In some way is what I meant to say. In some manner, you need to be able to see the Roshan pit, because if they're gonna ever sneak Rosh with a smoke, then everything that I'm saying is invalidated. But not often do teams do that. Teams often, if they're gonna do Rosh, they start to trickle in. They're like, one guy will start it, and then they'll be like, no, come guys, and then they'll start walking in. At least in pubs. In competitive, again, this isn't a competitive guide, but in pubs, people rarely smoke to do Roshan unless they can solo it. So a ward over the Roshan area is always nice. And I place over a ward over this, and then I place a ward over this tier 2 as we're taking it, because I'm like, okay, we want to see if they are walking from the back line, like if Magnus is trying to blink TP in. Lo and behold, it happens, and we pay for it anyways, because this guy TP's in right in front of the Shadow Demon, but he just stands there anyways and gets stunned. So I ult him, try to make him live as long as possible, but let's be real, this kid's fucking dying. Probably even wasted my ulti. I don't know, I don't actually know what I was thinking when I ulted that kid. That he was so dead. He had interesting positioning, I guess. And I shouldn't have done it. I think I piped too. Yeah, I piped and he mech'd, and I was thinking maybe we can keep this guy alive, but no, that kid was dead. But I guess at least we kept them off our racks because they TP back. Like, Wraith King was top. He could have pressured tier 3s, but instead he TP bottom. And got a pick on our Shadow Demons, so. Tradey trades. Axe is coming over here, trying to make a cute little fancy play there, but it failed. Get a TP. Get some dust, just in case he steals Mirana ulti. I think they did it before, so I was concerned. Sven grabs an invis, and I'm like, oh man, this is good. That's a hero with a stun. But then he just goes and farms. And they're not with him, so I was like, yo, we should totally fight here. Guy blinks. Unfortunately, she disjoints it with a blink of her own. And then this is the Wraith King, so I'm like, yo, guys, we gotta get the fuck up out of here, dude. That's everybody. I don't know if we can fight him right now. Mirana backs off. I'm trying to purge the stun. So you can't purge Cole, like I said, but I want to keep her alive for as long as possible, because Mirana's doing a lot of work here. So I'm like, Mirana, there's no chance that I can save you at this point. I'm going to W the TA to stop her source of damage. And then, lo and behold, the Mirana ends up living. I can't exactly remember why. If we watch this a little bit, maybe we can find out. I think it was the mech from the Shadow Demon. Mech is so good on Oracle, but even if somebody else on your team has it, it's so good if you can time it with your ulti, because it heals so much. We still end up kind of... Like, we trade unevenly in a good way for us. Like, it's 2 for 1, but it's our Sven that died, and we can't really get anything out of this. So in this case, we lost a core. We took down their 4th core, Kappa, and their mid laner. Mirana goes in there, goes for a snipe. They use RP on 2. I'm coming over here. I don't have ulti. I don't have anything. I'm not even near the fight. I felt like this was a bad place. I didn't really stick around like they did, because I didn't really subscribe to that sort of logic of let's go for pickoffs. Especially just not when they had specifically their heroes up still. You know, Wraith King's he scares the shit out of me. And I knew that they hadn't used RP, so it didn't seem like that good of a play. So I don't think that trade there was like super adequate. We took what? We took a Rubik's Life? No. Whose life did we take? I think we just took a Rubik's Life, yeah. Because the Mirana came in and sniped their Rubik. But we traded a Shadow Demon. I don't think that was fair. Rubik's worth like way less than Shadow Demon is right now. Shadow Demon, for record, you may be like, Wired, that's worth support for support. No, Shadow Demon's not a support right now, guys. I've been playing the hard 5. Shadow Demon is very much what I would call a little bit of a 4th core. He's the roaming. He's like the typical roaming 4 that you would expect. He's the 4th position, but he doesn't have to buy any of the consumables because I bought every single one of them. So he has a lot more net worth than the Rubik, and that shows when you look at the death. Rubik killed him for no wait, where'd he die? Shadow Demon died for 377, and Rubik died for 350. It's about comparable. I would say that especially like feeding this Wraith King is not something that we want to do, and it didn't feel right, I guess. The trade there didn't feel appropriate, so I wasn't too happy that we made that. But either way, as a pet peeve of mine, I hate it when people don't kill illusions, especially Axe illusions. Like Axe can farm with his illusions because he still spins. So try to kill illusions like that if you can. They just give free vision. There's no reason not to kill them. I think at this point I was just telling my team, I was like, guys, we should totally smoke. I have 3 smokes. We're all kind of grouped in the same location. I can't remember what I'm faring right now, but yeah, I just pinged him. I just alt pinged him. Grabbed the tome. That's right, I was buying a tome. I pick him back up on the courier this time, and I'm flying the courier over here because I'm trying to force my team to smoke. Even if pinging. Even if all of us can't smoke, like we could bait with the Luna, it'd be sick. It would be so sick to smoke right here. So I think we get to. I don't know. I think we do. I think I'm gonna join this and I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm definitely smoking. If nothing else, we just need a few of us smoked. Because even if the smoke is obvious, the smoke is still good because whereas smoke doesn't necessarily, like even if people see it, it doesn't necessarily seem as deceptive as you would want to maybe use it as. Like it's smoke of deceit. You want to deceive people. You want to use it and then make people kind of guess. That's not all the smoke is used for. Smoke does still take you off the map. So I want to talk about this for a second. I fucked up hardcore. I had my buttons were totally confused. So I didn't mean to double sentry there. I meant to sentry and ward, and I accidentally ended up using pipe as well. So I don't think that was like intentional. I didn't predict like a blink RP or some shit like that. The whole while that we were taking tier 2 top, we traded Roche. Had a pretty good theory that they were doing something down there, so that's what it ended up being. Not a terrible trade. This just means that we have to play defensively for the next little bit of time. We traded real estate for a 5-minute Aegis, and then Mirana gets picked off, which is really unfortunate. I think this does enable them to push down mid, but I don't think the push goes all that well for them. We'll see. X blinks mid and he farms it. Yeah, they're gonna push down mid here. They're definitely gonna. I don't see us defending this tier 2. This is kind of a learning. Yeah, and I think I either die here or I just have to use ulti. Yeah, I have to burn ulti. It's interesting to me that they let me go here. I think they could have killed me, but either way, I don't have my ulti. Luckily, I did hit my level 16, all thanks to those tomes that I was using earlier. So I got to use that ulti with a level 16 ult, which means I get it every 30 seconds, I think. It's like every 30... It's pretty... Yeah, it's a little cooldown of 30 seconds, so... It's not a big deal that I used it right there. Like, I have it up in 7 seconds. I guess it means that I can't immediately ulti her, but I'm gonna get my ulti off on her anyways. She's using her Satanics too, so this is like super Craigasm. Because she gets to heal a lot. She pops her ulti. She's not gonna heal a whole lot from this, but then I'm gonna W, Q, or E, and then I'm gonna purge it off of her. I'm gonna use my Q to purge the W off on her so she can start right-clicking again. Then we get a 2-fer there. We get the core Wraith King, which is super sick. We haven't popped their Aegis yet, because it's on the TA. But we killed their Rubik, which is super sick as well. Basically, killing the Rubik means that they can't counter-initiate on us with any of our big spells. So, Wraith King is super good, obviously, as a kill, but then also making sure that, like, since the Rubik is dead and they already used our P, there's no threat whatsoever to chase them. We don't need to worry about a counter-initiation. I guess you could argue, oh, the TA counter-initiated on you, but it's fucking TA. When she counter-initiates, it's her blinking back in, so we just chase her down here. We're definitely getting an Aegis here, I think. I have Sven beating on her. Oh, never mind. This just goes to show, man. Maybe we do. I was gonna say this makes me very sad because this goes to show how little our Sven has. He has Armlet, Blink, and Mask of Madness. He has like he didn't go Helmet Dominator, which I actually, looking back, I thought that was a pretty clever move by him if he thought about that. If he was like, hey, we have a Luna that might want to farm Ancients as well. I'm not gonna get to farm him that well. That made me think, damn, that was pretty clever by the Sven. But I don't think the Sven played all that well outside of that. If he that's even assuming that he had that foresight. So I come in, I ulti this after the thing. Now, you can still ulti Illusions. You can ulti Illusions as Oracle, so you need to watch out for that. But the Shadow Demon gets a good disruption. I get a good ulti here. She's going to see her and right-click and lifesteal a bunch, which is super good. I think she lives here. I feel like she does, yeah, albeit just barely. I think she had BKB going on there. Let me check, because I should have been healing her a little bit, I feel. Did she have BKB? Man, tell me she did. I should have been healing her. Definitely. No, she didn't even have BKB. I should have been healing her most of this time. I was thinking in my mind, I was like, she took so much damage. I don't want to E her at the end of my ulti to just barely put her over that damage threshold. Because obviously, False Promise can be lethal. Your E is never lethal, but False Promise is lethal. So if you do enough damage to push somebody into lethal range with your E during False Promise, and then False Promise procs, and then they end up dying because of it, like the extra damage from your E made them die, even though your E normally, under normal circumstances, can't kill a target, it, in that circumstance, can kill them. So, I should have been doing it regardless, though. Like, I have Pipe, I have Magic Resistance for her. She probably wasn't going to die just to my E there if I had been spamming it prior to this. I should have been E-ing her for her to heal, but she ends up dying as a result of it, and this is entirely my fault. She should not have died here. This is my fault. Either way, though, I think we trade for... Oh, damn. The Glimmer Cape was very timely there. We don't get a kill out of it. I don't think I die, though. I don't think Wraith King's gonna come over here. I think I might even get a kill. No, I don't. But yeah, Wraith King was a little ways away, so they don't get to kill us. And it just ends up being like a Rax trade, a set of Raxes for our Luna, which still does suck. Luna was worth 1,000 there. She was really put in some damn good work, if you will. So it does suck to lose her there, but we still got a set of Rax. And at this point, I think it's just closing out the game and just making sure they don't farm enough to be able to take the game back into their grasp. Like, our Luna's really, really stacked. And you're seeing, in this game, I had every intention of just focusing on the Sven with the Oracle ulti. I had every intention of just being like, okay, I'm here to purge RP or anything that may catch this guy, like a Blink Telekinesis, anything that may catch this Sven off guard before he can activate his BKB, or even if it's, before he can activate his BKB. So if they Blink Telekinesis, I'll ulti heal BKB, and we'll just win the fight, because the Sven's going to get monsters as he farmed, he's going to take over the game. That didn't end up happening. This Sven was trash. This Sven went 2-9. He's terrible. This is probably the worst Sven that I've ever seen in my entire life. But it didn't matter, because I also combo really well with the rest of my team. I have a lot of burst damage to complement the fact that Mirana's trying to burst targets down. SD and I kind of set up each other in some ways, in a lot of ways, and then also we combo really well, both of us, with Mirana. And then Luna has a Satanic. Any form of lifesteal is great, but then especially a Satanic, and obviously even without a BKB, which she unfortunately doesn't have. Unfortunately and fortunately, like, it's unfortunate, but it's also fortunate because then I can heal her, which is what I should have been doing earlier. But especially in the essence that, like, I can just constantly spam heal on her. Like, she's so Gucci Mane with me. It's such a solid combo. And again, that's all. Even though I planned, even though the plan was stick on the Sven, the plan changed, and then it just ended up I'll stick on the Luna now, and then we'll make her invincible. So I'm chasing this guy. I was getting. I don't exactly know what my logic here was. I was going on the axe. Did I just not see the Wraith King? I'm pretty damn sure I saw the Wraith King. Because then he blinked back. Yeah, he was walking this way and he blinked back and he tried to go on me. I guess, I don't know. I felt like my team could back me up here. And they did. So that's Gucci Mane. I ulted myself because I got super scared there. But that ended up being the incorrect target because, they had other things to worry about. But it ended up not mattering because my team had this totally in the bag. I don't know why I W'd him. I think I meant to W something. Oh, yeah, because I was scared that he was going to sit there and right-click. But then he was Ghost Sceptered, so he couldn't right-click my Sven either way. Either way, we're Gucci Mane from this point on. I think I'm just going to heal him up. We're going to push down mid and just throw in the game. And see if that's we'll see if that's what ends up happening. Rubik DCs. Maybe we don't because they haven't bought back yet. Or do we? Yeah, we just do. This is kind of... I don't know. I think I would have preferred to see us just... Because we didn't know if they had buybacks. I don't know. I BM at the end there because Axe said they smoked. And all chat. Either way, I hope that kind of gave a little bit of an idea of how to play Oracle. If it didn't, hopefully I talked about at least some of the supporting mechanics that I don't see... that I see criminally underused in my games. I do think that overall, like, ignoring Oracle for a second, I think that the support role is again, I think it's criminally underused as a means of gaining MMR. You can pull some pretty wonky, crazy things off as most supports in the game. Most supports in the game have some drastic way about playing their opponents. Whether it's like hitting 5-man Ravage stuns with Ravage or with Lion, right? Lion's Q is basically Ravage if you hit 5 people with it. Or if it's pulling off like clutch plays like a last minute Shallow Grave or Shadow Demons Disruption. There's so many ways in which you can outplay a support right now that, not even right now, but you always could have done this. But there's so many ways in which you can outplay your opponents as the support role that it honestly makes me wonder why more people don't play it. But especially with heroes like Oracle that this is intended around, like there's he just encompasses the best parts of what I would want a support to be as a solo queue support. He has high burst damage. He has deceptively a deceptive way of playing a bitch support in the sense that he's going to steal kills. So he can play the hard 5 and afford everything. It's unfortunate for your team that he has to steal some kills. You should try to not steal kills if you can manage it by using your burst rotation early on into a fight and then only preserving your E when you don't have your Q as a kill securing move if you need to. Ideally, you'll be good enough to be like, okay, I can E him here. After you initially E and Q, you can be like, okay, I can E him here and we'll eventually get the kill. But if you're newer to Oracle, just use it as a kill stealing mechanism. Not as like a last minute kill stealing mechanism, but when you see their health get low, use it to secure kills like that. Which means that he's able to afford all of his items, which is good. I like having money. Like I said, he's a jack of all trades. He has deceptively outburst. He has pretty good sustained DPS. He has really good scaling. It's not like great proportional to his ultimate unless the person that you're ulting has some way innately of healing as well, because it gets to that point in the later stages of the game where it's like, this is just a 9-second invincibility that I'm putting onto you. There's no way that you're going to live after this because they're just going to out-damage the invincibility, but you're still going to be invincible for at least the 9 seconds that I'm putting it onto you for. Which is still damn good. 9 seconds of complete invulnerability. Not complete. Obviously, you can still shatter it with Ancient Apparition if he hits it at the right time, or Axe can still call. But it freezes their health in place. So unless those abilities... I mean, you can... Which just means that you can outplay them as well. Because you can just ulti before they get into call range, or Culling Blade range. Or you can ult them before they get into shatter range. You know, you have reactive ways of dealing with that as well. And like I said, it's 9 seconds of invulnerability. Complete invulnerability, except for CC, so it's invincibility. It can't die. They absolutely cannot die for 9 seconds. So sometimes you'll ulti, and then people will overcommit to killing the target that you ulti, and they'll be like, damn, dude, like, why didn't we win that fight? We killed the guy that Oracle ultied. Well, it's probably because we ended up using, like, 4 ultis and 3 nukes on top. Like, we ended up using all of our nukes and all of our damage-dealing abilities on the target that Oracle ultied because we wanted to make sure that he died so much that we ended up overcommitting to the target, and we didn't even realize it. It's just great. I love Oracle. Yeah, there's not much else to say outside of that. I'll talk a little bit about item builds, but you shouldn't be getting too many items on this hero, honestly. Even though you do kill stills or still kills a lot. Like I said, the progression of items at the start was really important. Buy a tango set, and you're buying that to pull your mid 2 tangos. Only one if you have another support that's willing, but usually I'll pull them too. Buy a clarity. It's really nice to have a clarity. Buy both wards, pack of sentries, and the courier. If you ever find yourself having leftover gold, feel free to compensate that by buying smokes or clarities. Those are really nice. I don't really like buying too much regen on this hero because you have your own innate form of regen through mana if you just buy more clarities. And then the way that I progress usually from there is I try to get a stick as soon as possible, or at least by level 6. Having a stick at level 6 combos really well with your ulti if you ever have to use it on yourself, because you get the double regen from your ulti. From the stick, so it's doubly effective. And then also, just in general, it's hard to get arcane boost as a 5, like a hard 5 if you're not getting farm, but you still want you still want mana on this hero in some form, so a stick helps you do that. Upgrade the courier at 3 minutes. Try to make sure you have a nighttime ward, which nighttime is every 4 minutes, so make sure that by the 4-minute mark you have a nighttime ward mid, and preferably as well for your safe lane to make sure they don't get ganked. Talked a little bit about ward positioning. In terms of like the mid-game items, after you get your arcanes, after you get your wand, after you've made sure that you have bought all the wards that you can, you have the true sight that you need if you need it for the game. And trust me, you always need every game with true sight, regardless of whether or not they have invisible heroes. You should be trying to counter ward, smokes, etc., dust if you need it. Making sure that you have all those items, you can eventually move into your first, probably your only item as well, which should be a very situational item. Some notable synergistic items that Oracle has in his tool, not in his toolkit, but they synergize really well with his toolkit, are items that, I mean, basically any item that gives healing. Urn is kind of good, although it doesn't work the same way that it used to. It used to work where if a damage instance was not felt at all, then Urn would continue to go. And that synergized with his ulti, because you could ulti somebody and then pop Urn and then pop a heal, like a Purifying Flames on them, and then the Urn would heal them as well as your E would. But now it doesn't matter. If they're taking any source of damage, be it from an enemy or an ally, even if it's not felt, it still pops the Urn charge, it still takes it off. So it's not as good anymore. I don't really like to get it too much, because the strength is kind of isn't necessary too much. The strength isn't that necessary, and by that point in the game, I should have arcanes. And if I don't have arcanes, then I should be getting arcanes, because that's not 875 gold that could be spent towards a energy booster, which would give me arcanes, and arcanes gives you more mana. Usually, I think over time, arcanes will just always give you more mana than an Urn. So I don't really appreciate the extra strength, and the mana regen's kind of wasted. The charges are really nice, but if that's all I'm buying Urn for, and it doesn't really synergize all too well with this kit, as I mentioned earlier, I'd rather just forego the item, let somebody else get it, let your 4 get it, while you work towards arcanes instead. And like I said, when you can get that solid base of items, everything else is situational, no exceptions. You can't sit here and say something like, oh damn dude, I'm the Oracle, so I have to get Mechanism, or oh damn dude, like I have to get, fuck, there's like no other items that I can think of off the top of my head that just heal. I think Urn and Mech are like the only 2 items. But even health regen items like Pipe, you know, I think it gives a health regen aura. It just, don't focus too much on items that synergize specifically with Oracle's kit. Try to be flexible. You're the 5 position, so the chances that you're ever going to get to buy an item in general are pretty slim. As a result of that, it's hard to like make a rigid structure of items that you need to be getting every single game, because you know, it's very rare that you'll ever really get too many items. Your items are wards. Your items are consumables, and you just need to you just kind of need to accept that as a fact. That being said, though, if you are dominating a game, feel free to eventually get like a 20-minute pipe. It's still solid. But in games where it's really close and it's cutthroat, and especially like your first few games of 5 position, if you are just picking up the role, you'll find that you'll be dying probably a lot, and that it's hard to get any items up. So don't feel discouraged by that. When you start to minimalize your deaths and learn to find farm in some way, shape, or form, then it's okay to move into being like, okay, maybe I can get a pipe here. Maybe I can get a blink here. Maybe I can squeeze these items into my build. Maybe I can get an Ags, because Ags helps you just take over games. Like there's a lot of items that are decent on Oracle, and again, they're all situational. Try to be thinking of the situations themselves. That'll make you a better player than me just listing off a list of items that are OP on Oracle. But get a feel for those situations after you learn to minimize your deaths and not die as much, such that you can make gold. I will talk about them though briefly. Some notable exceptions to the rule of, like, you know, most items on Oracle are very situational and should be treated as such. Some items that I tend to lean towards generally are items like I mentioned mech, like I mentioned Ags. They're in different situations. So mech is an item where if I can't feel like I can get enough gold on him, I'll just get a mech as a cheap supplementary item that doesn't build up from too many big items itself. Like, it builds up from a bunch of 200 and 400 gold components, and its total cost is still only 2,300. Costs a lot of mana, and it really does suck to have to use mech in a team fight as Oracle, because you want to just be spamming out spells. You don't want to have to, like, spend 200 mana and then run dry mid fight and be like, damn dude, I have no heal, I have no purge, I have no nothing. Make sure that if you are getting mech, make sure you're always using your ulti on a target before you're meching somebody. It's like, I can think of the situations where I wouldn't want to get my mech off, or I can think of the situations where I would want to mech before I ulti on one hand, and it's really just one finger, and it's like, mech has a quicker cast time than your ulti, so if you're running up to somebody and you absolutely need to get the heal off right away, you have no time to cast the ulti, then you should mech immediately. But outside of that, dude, like, always try to get your ulti off. Try to get some value out of the fact that you have a double mech heal on one target before you actually use your mech. Like, just get the ulti off first. It's kind of like IO. Like, if you get mech on IO, you're trying to make sure that you're tethered to somebody, and maybe hopefully that you've taken some damage and that they've taken some damage before you use it, so that you can use your mech. It heals yourself, it heals them for a second time through you at an increased rate. It's just so sick if you can get that off, and it's game changing, really. So like I mentioned, mech is pretty good. It's a good notable exception to the rule of, like, you know, not really focusing too much on core item builds. It's a damn good item to get if you can work towards it and you feel like the game jurisdicts its presence or necessitates its presence, then get it. Outside of that, some good items to get. Veil is a pretty solid one. Most team comps have started to work in. Most solo queue team comps that I can think of can work a Veil into them. As long as you have you and one other damage dealing hero, I'm sure a Veil is going to be fine. It's an equatable cost to the mech as well, so it's pretty solid for that. You saw me get Blink Dagger some games. Blink Dagger is only an item that I'll get, like, if I feel like it's just so hard for me to survive in these fights, so I have to maneuver around them. I need to, like, walk in, ulti, and then blink out and just disengage from the fight immediately, because they have, like, a storm that's jumping around fights constantly. And even then, like, if they have a storm, blink is it's still hard to stay alive, even with the blink. So it's not like I get blink every game. I don't get blink all that much anyways. Your goal is to stay in the backline anyways. Like, you're not trying to blink in and make crazy initiation plays. You're trying to stay in the backline. So as a result, when you're walking into fights, you should be walking into them with that mantra of, like, okay, I'm already where I need to be. I don't need to walk in and then blink. I need to walk in and start casting spells, because they're usually already in the backline, unless you get flanked. Let's see. Blink, mech, Ags. I think I said that several times already, and the reason I keep jumping back to it is because I want to stress that the games that you will be allowed to get Ags are probably few, but if you can ever get Ags in a game where it matters, it's so huge. Like, Ags is such an insanely impactful item on Oracle that it's probably... a lot of people say this about a lot of Ags upgrades, but it's probably the most overpowered, or one of the most overpowered Ags upgrades in the game. It's so changing in so many ways. It's crazy. So don't ever think for a second that Ags is a bad item. I just don't get the opportunity to get it that often, because it's just like Ancient Apparition. It's even worse, because Ancient Apparition can at least kind of justify a Midas, because it's not like he needs arcane boots. You know, it's not like he needs a wand. His spells are so long range and his mana is so fluctuant that that's like it's, you know, it's difficult. And generally speaking, just don't rush Ags especially if you're new to Oracle, don't feel like the hero revolves around Ags or anything like that. Please do not get into that mindset. Don't be one of those guys that starts games going boots first, arcane boots, and then like you're working so hard towards Ags that you start foregoing wards. Please don't. It's not. It's damn good, but I would almost prefer Oracle to be in a 4 role if you're trying to get an Ags on him. Honestly, it's damn good, but I cannot stress that enough. It's like, don't make it a priority. Pipe, as you saw me get, I think that's pretty much it. Any other item, like I said, it's situational. So if you notice you have a lot of consistent physical damage on your team, you know, I'm talking consistent, like a PA or a TA or a PA. You know, heroes that are going to rely primarily on physical damage to get jobs done, and they're never going to deviate from that mantra of like, hey, I'm a big right clicker. And they don't have like an Omni Knight on their team. Get a Mock, you know, get a Super Mock. It's pretty good. While it's on you, you have evasion, which makes you harder to hit. And then when you put it onto somebody else, you're either shredding somebody's armor or you're giving your teammate armor, which is pretty solid. It's nice. Damage is still calculated through armor and magic resistance during your ulti. So it's really nice to be able to Mock somebody or Medallion of Courage somebody and then ulti them, because then they take a lot of reduced damage and you increase their chances of surviving. But Medallion is just one example of the many items out there that Oracle can get and make work. Just because, again, he is the 5 position. He is somewhat of a slot holder. If you need an item, he can hold on to it. Think of items that you would want to get in the backline, though, because I can't stress it enough. He is a backliner. He is the hero that stands far behind others. So, as a result of that, I don't really try to get too many offensive items. I don't really go for Dagon or you know, I do go for Veil because you can cast it from the backline pretty well. Aether Lens is a pretty solid item as well, but you don't really need Aether, you know? You don't need to stand that far back in most circumstances, but it can be kind of sick. If you're winning a game, Aether, like Veil, can be pretty sick because you're trying to be offensive. You're trying to do damage to other heroes. The extra spell damage really helps. The extra range really helps because you're trying to reach now over onto the enemies as opposed to your allies. When I say the backline, I mean like the super backline. You have your enemies clashing against your allies, you know, and they're meeting over here. You're like back here helping these guys, not these guys, if that makes sense. You're not helping. You're back here helping these guys, not over here trying to hurt these guys. So your positioning can be further back than, like, you don't even really need to see an enemy ever. You just want to focus on your allies. Unless, like I said, you're winning the game or you're trying to go on the offensive and you're trying to make his burst damage a relevant factor in team fights. Let me think. Other than that, I guess that's really all I wanted to say. This has probably been rather long and drawn out. Hopefully there's been some amount of educational content in this guide. If you played a lot of Oracle, likely you haven't learned too much. If you've played a lot of support, you probably haven't learned too much either. But this will just kind of give you a little bit of hopefully a fair avenue, I'd say, into the mind of a support player and of support play in general. We only looked at one game. There's games where I lose, and we could break down those sorts of games too. Maybe I'll look over those sorts of games as well. I just kind of wanted to get a video out for you guys because I haven't posted in a while, and because I do think it's important to post content that isn't just centered around the trifecta of heroes that I play. You know, I haven't made a piece of Oracle content in a while, and I think a long detailed guide, just kind of breaking down a little bit about his item decisions and mostly his decision making in games, could be just what the doctor ordered, so to speak. But whatever, you know, I'll continue to post content rather infrequently because I am wearing guitars. I don't. I mean, you guys know me by now, right? Like, I'm pretty bad at this whole frequent upload stuff, but you know, maybe we'll see if I can get back into the trend of at least uploading like once a week. That'd be kind of nice. And yeah, I got a Meepo guide coming up soon. I don't necessarily know specifically when. I won't tease you guys with a date and then go back on my word later. But I want to get my win rate on him above 50% at the very least before. You know, I want to grind out a few more games. Mostly, that's the real thing. Is mostly I want to grind out a few more games and really try to learn the hero from every avenue that I can. But also, I feel bad making guides for heroes that I have a sub 50% win rate on. It just doesn't feel right. You know, it feels kind of stupid. Like, why would I make a guide for somebody that I'm not even winning at least 50% of my games on? So, but yeah, I do have a lot of things to talk about when it comes to this little fucker. So we'll have a nice conversation about that sometime in the near future. But that's all I really got for you guys today. Hope you guys learned something. I love you all as usual, and yeah, have a good day.